Hello, everybody, and welcome to Seen Anything
Good lately. I'm Zach.
I'm Alby. This is a podcast about the TV shows we all love. Today, we're doing a little something different. Our first episode was more of a summary of some of the shows we had watched, a little discussion on what we were watching. This time, we're going to do a new season of TV shows that have just come out, the fall season. We're going to have a brief discussion on some of these shows. Some of the network shows, and then we'll get into a little bit of detail on like what we think about them and stuff.
Yeah, essentially, that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to we'll talk about some of these shows that we've actually seen. I was discussing before we cracked the mics if we had both seen any of these shows that have premiered for the fall network slate of television for 2018. Alby has seen a couple. I have seen a couple, and I think we're just going to give a general idea of how we feel about what we saw and sort of the premises behind some of these things, because boy, some of these things are out there.
And also give a little bit of a discussion on like where some of these shows fit in some of these lineups. I think when we were talking about this show, when we were talking about the idea for this type of show for Seen Anything Good Lately, we talked a lot about like the fall cancellation, not the Fox cancellations, I guess last winter, where like they canceled a bunch of comedies, they canceled a bunch of dramas. So we'll talk about how does some of this stuff fits into these catalogs for these different networks, and kind of how we feel about which is the strongest and which is the weakest in terms of different networks right now.
Sure, yeah, and I think we'll get to it, but there's a definite a winner in my mind of who is doing this the best. So yeah, it was a real bloodbath. A lot of things got canceled, and it's just, for me, it's always been weird. I've always had a fascination with network sitcoms and television, just because it feels like we're living on two different planets when HBO and FX and AMC and all of these things exist, and then there are the network sort of dramas and comedies, and it just feels like two different worlds. So yeah, I'm interested in actually diving into some of this.
Yeah, it should be good. Now, we will mention again, we have not watched all of these shows, because no human person could watch all of this television and not lose their mind. But I think we've watched, at least for my part, a pretty decent portion of some of the better stuff that's on. So we're going to give you some thoughts. First off, let's start with the Fox Network, home of the Fox Wolf, as my area calls it, Fox Wolf TV, which is funny, weird, strange, I suppose. So Fox is a network that I think we just mentioned lost a lot of shows the last few years. Has not been exactly stable in its lineup of major shows. Seems to like to cancel very often shows that I think a large swath of people quite enjoy. Brooklyn Nine-Nine comes to mind. Certainly Lucifer is another show that I think was canceled that had a lot more viewers than I think a lot of the other networks would cancel for. So it's a interesting time period for Fox. Well, guess we'll start with the first slated thing here.
This first show is called The Cool Kids. That keep in mind, all of these at the time of this recording, most of these have already aired at least one or two episodes. So The Cool Kids is it has Charlie Day's name attached to this thing as an executive producer. Now, if you don't, I think a lot of people do know, because Charlie Day sort of blew up recently. He was in some movies and stuff when the It's Always Sunny craze was really hitting its peak. Feels like that's kind of come back down a little bit. But Charlie Day is involved in this show, The Cool Kids. It's got David Alan Grier in it, who was I've been watching, actually, and maybe we'll discuss it down the line whenever we bring some shows back, but when we talk about them. But I've been watching the Carmichael Show, which is a network show that is no longer. It was canceled in the wave of cancellations that have happened recently. David Alan Grier was great in that show, so I have hope that maybe he'll be okay in this. I'll just read off some names. It's got Martin Mull, Emmy Award winner Leslie Jordan, Vicki Lawrence. It's a weird sort of show about... I'm going to read verbatim what this says from where I copied this from. The Cool Kids is a multi-camera comedy about a ragtag group of friends living in a retirement community.
Uh-huh.
And Okay, are you in on this already? Who are willing to break every rule, Alby, in order to have fun.
Every rule? That's a lot of rules.
Every rule. Because at their age, what do they really have to lose? You know? They're in a retirement.
So much, though? That seems...
It just basically breaks down the characters. David Alan Grier's character is called Hank. He's the leader of this motley crew. Again, I'm reading verbatim here. A gruff, opinionated 21st century Archie Bunker. Ooh, feel like maybe we shouldn't be doing that now.
Yeah, that's a rough one with the recent stuff that's been happening. But okay, sure,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Feels like maybe read the room on that one, guys. I don't know that we need that right now. It goes on to say his loyal but less than helpful friends include Charlie, who is a bumbling storyteller who constantly goes off on tangents about some bizarre, barely believable episode from his life. Sid, a naysaying, pill-popping hypochondriac who shoots down every scheme but still gets roped in. It's basically every trope of a sitcom that you could think of, I feel like, of just look at these wacky and zany people, except now they're in an old folks' home and they're old. I don't know how much faith I have in this thing. I like Charlie Day. I'm glad he's behind it, but I don't know that there's a lot here for me that makes me want to go seek this out. And I have not seen any of this, and I'm interested in knowing how Alby feels about it. Just like a quick little yes or no, and how long do you think this lasts before it gets canceled?
I think this gets a season. I hope a full season. It's gonna be on Fridays at 6:30 to 9 p.m., which is usually not a super strong spot. I would imagine that's gonna be a little rougher, just because usually people are out doing things on Friday nights. It's usually the date night kind of thing. So I think they're already kind of hedging their bets with it. It's a little messy. I think some of the ways they're, I think some of the weirdness they're having, like, it is a very strange concept for a show. And I don't like any of it. I like Charlie Day. As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I've enjoyed It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia once or twice in my life, but this kind of show and the kind of comedy that he I don't know, the kind of comedy I look at him for is not something that fits on 8:30 to 9 p.m. on a Friday, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I really agree. I'm with you. I think this thing maybe gets a season, and then it's gone, because I don't know how much. It seems so sitcom-y to me, and maybe that's good in this instance, because it's supposed to be that way for a network show. But I just don't see it lasting. I'm sorry. I maybe I'll check an episode out and I'll go from there. But I'm kind of bummed out that Charlie Day is involved in something like this. I feel like that's sort of a waste of his talents, both on the writing and the acting front. This next show, we've all okay, hold on here. Before I start getting into this, I've been talking to Alby, not recording, because where I live currently, the show is in syndication, and it comes on at 8:00 every night on the weeknights. And I watch it because I have a television directly next to my monitor, and I have it up. And I've tried my best to watch it and try to enjoy it, because I feel like there is aspects of the show that are okay. We will talk about this at a later time. I've got a lot in the chamber for this. Last Man Standing is coming back. Fox has brought back Last Man Standing. Of course, we all love Tim the Toolman, Alan Taylor.
Oh, man, do we. Boy, he's a talented actor and probably one of the greatest writers of our age, just personally.
He's great. He's great. He has a great book, memoir about his life. You should go read it. Don't actually read it. But don't buy the book. If you see it in a library, throw it in the garbage.
Just pick it up, walk over to the nearest trash bin, and put it in there, and it's gonna be fine in there.
Put it in there. That's where it belongs. No, I actually don't. I've only heard parts of that thing read, and was not a fan of the parts that I heard read. Anyway, Last Man Standing is Tim Allen, starring as Mike Baxter, as a married father of 3 women who tries to maintain his manliness in a world dominated by women. Holy fuck.
No.
I hate that. Just reading that. I hate reading that. I don't like that at all.
No, it's pretty morally bankrupt in terms of just,
Ooh,
it's bad.
It's a shitty way to write that. I
Yep,
feel like.
yep.
It's just not. It's not great. And like, okay, again, I'm gonna do an episode on this down the line. It's produced by 20th Century Fox Television. It has Nancy Travis, Jonathan Adams, Amanda Fuller, Christoph Sand. Basically, the entire cast is coming back. Sans one of the daughters, played by Molly Ephraim, she did not come back. She's choosing not to come back, and they've recast her with somebody else. And I've seen a couple of like trailer things, so to speak. And they kind of just play it off as like she went away and then she came back, and they're like, "Wow, you look different." And then there's a laugh track that plays, and you're like, "Wow, okay, cool, good writing, really appreciate it." And it's crazy. Well, it's not crazy to me because this does have a certain demographic. Like Roseanne has the same demographic as this. I feel like
Sure.
It was one of those shows that latched onto a certain audience, and I think that it's probably going to stay around for a couple of seasons, if I had to guess, because there are going to be people that are ardently going to defend how funny and well-written this show is when it is arguably not that most of the time. There are a couple of good one-liners here and there that I have found myself laughing at when I'm watching it in syndication here where I live. But just even like the Fox, like bringing it back, the 1-minute trailer is like, "Man, I can't believe they canceled this show." And he's like, "Yeah, they'd be a bunch of idiots to do that." And you're like, okay, you're really just on the nose with this whole thing, huh? You're not mad at this at all. And it's just, some of this stuff for me is very lazy writing. I don't like how they already have phrased what the show is, where it's like, he's a man living in a woman's world. And you're like, okay, great. Yes. Again, read the fucking room, guys. Like, what? It's 2018. You know what's happening in the world right now in America, right?
But I feel like that's their goal, is to appeal to that demographic. I feel like
it is.
Fox, out of all the networks, seems to try to focus on that demographic very heavily, and is trying to make content that pleases that demographic, because like they are in a kind of rough state, and so, you know, one of the demographics that seems to work for them is that I don't want to say Donald Trump demographic, but that sort of middle of the country,
it's conservative,
hard R Republican, and
sure.
So like something like Last Man Standing, well, it does not appeal to me. I can understand why it was created. At the same time, I think it is very gross. In some of the stuff it tries to do. I don't think it has an even hand. I don't like Tim the Toolman Taylor anymore. So I was gonna go with a hard pass on that one. It's just nothing of what I'm looking for in terms of shows right now.
I feel this. I sort of feel the same way, but I might hate watch it just to see if the writing is any better, or if they try to make it any better, or if they make any sort of tangible effort to make it less.
Sure.
Because like my main concern is just how it is conservative. That's fine. I don't have a problem with the conservative values of the show. My main bone of contention with Last Man Standing has always been how lazily they write the one liberal character in there, and they just sort of make him seem like the worst schmuck imaginable. And like, I get it, it's a stereotype, that's fine, but there's also stuff there where you're like, that's the lowest common the lowest fruit that you could have gone with there is what you went with, and I don't find that funny a lot of the time. So that's me personally. I still think this thing is going to last for a couple of seasons before it ultimately gets axed, because it's going to find the fan base. The fan base is going to stand up for it. That's why it's back. That's why it came back to begin with.
Yeah, it's just, there's so many problems with it that, but at the same time, I say that I know it's going to get multiple seasons. I feel like because of the way they invested it, because of the way they brought this thing back, and because of the way they're moving it from ABC to Fox, like they're going to give it at least 2 seasons, maybe 3. I think its ratings will do very well for it. I think it will probably stick around for a long time in a sort of background area where nobody really pays attention to it, except for the people that really pay attention to it. So
yeah, I agree. I think you're right. I think that's what it's going to end up being, and you know, hopefully it'll get better as time goes on. I'll give it credit if it gets better. I've got no problem doing that. The next show we've got here is actually basically on the opposite end of the spectrum as far as this goes. This is called Rel, and it's based on the comedian Rel Howery is his name. He's been in
Rel Howery.
Yeah, it's tough, right? It's a mouthful. He
It
was
is.
in Get Out, actually, as the friend to the
Oh.
main character. He was in Insecure, which is a great HBO show that I still probably need to watch at some point. And he was also on the Carmichael Show as well. So I've been I watched the first season of the Carmichael Show, and this is basically what helped him get to where he is now. I think Gerard Carmichael said like, "Hey, this guy's really funny, and like I want to work with him," which is why if you look into the show, Gerard Carmichael is actually one of the executive producers. So I have faith in that because I like Gerard Carmichael a lot. I think he's smart. I think what he's doing and what he did on his sitcom was severely underrated, just how he was writing that show and pitching it. And I'm glad that he's working with Rel Howery. Now, this is essentially a multi-camera comedy, and Rel is a loving husband and a father.
Oh.
And he lives on the west side of Chicago. And you're like, okay, that makes sense so far. And then it gets a little weirder for me, but maybe not out of the realm of possibility. I don't live the same life that Rel Howery does, so who am I to judge? So he lives on the west side of Chicago, and then he finds out that his wife is having an affair, and it's an affair with Rel's barber. Now, I'm not. I don't want to poo-poo on any like ideas right out of the gate, but that seems a little. I don't know. Like you're stretching a little bit there. I feel like, but okay, I'll give it a pass if it works. And I'm reading verbatim here. Quite easily, the worst person for your wife to sleep with is the barber, because as hard as it is to find a good spouse, it's even harder to find a reliable barber.
Woo!
Which I can't speak to that because I am a white man. But the barber in the, other communities like the black community is a very big deal and all of that. And Rel Howery, in case you hadn't been able to notice yet, is a black comedian. So there is, yes, that makes sense to me actually. And then there's just some other stuff that goes on here in what I've pulled. He's got his no BS best friend Brittany, who's played by who is Jess Moore? Is that what that? I guess that's who it is. He's got his recently out of jail younger brother, Nat, Jordan L. Jones, prideful dad, Sinbad. Hello, Sinbad's in this.
Well,
Sinbad
okay,
making an
great.
appearance. Yeah.
Sinbad, remember? Does anyone remember Sinbad? Is anybody out there a Sinbad fan still? No? Well, okay.
I love Sinbad. I own all of his merchandise.
Oh. It's a weird fact. Okay.
So basically, it feels like this is more of a black comedy in that it is for a certain demographic that maybe I don't fit.
Sure.
Black comedy in the sense that it is written by black people, like Rel Howery living in Chicago, all of that. Just a different world than what I would be used to, so I can't really speak to any of this stuff. I will say that I've seen some of Rel Howery's comedy stylings because I did watch some of his like sort of other stuff that he's done, and he's all right. Like he's I don't mind him. I think he's gonna be pretty good. I don't know that this, again, not my demographic, so maybe I'm the wrong person to put any judgment on this. I think it'll be okay. I don't know that it'll last longer than a season.
No. Yeah, this is another one. And to talk more broadly about the comedy offerings from Fox this season, boy, hopefully Last Man Standing ends up being okay for them, because I feel like every single one of their comedies is going to fall flat in its face. Mostly because they're all kind of weirdly specific. They're all very weird and like, I don't know, like it feels like this one is a direct reaction to Last Man Standing, to try to, I don't know, bring the black community back to Fox. If they're being driven away by Last Man Standing, we'll get them back with Little Ray Howery. I mean,
it's weird. Yeah, no, you couldn't have two more shows that are like completely running in contrast to each other than Last Man Standing and Rel. Like that's two opposite ends of the spectrum that are just insane to me.
I mean, I could just see this being a boardroom decision where somebody was like, we're going to lose minority viewers when we bring Last Man Standing over. We need a show with a black male lead, probably a comedy show. Maybe it's also a slight reaction to Blackish, which I think did pretty well for, I think, ABC.
Yeah, it did.
So like I just feel like this is one of those situations where this show probably was not a super strong pilot script. It probably was not an incredibly amazing, in like pitch, but at the end of the day, the market choices, the market movements that Fox is trying to deal with forced them to take this show on, and I feel like it could be really good. Sometimes shows like that only get a season because of some crazy stuff happening exterior to the show, sometimes end up being really good because they're allowed to be a little bit out of the box, more than something like I don't know, your standard sitcoms. So I'm hopeful for it, but at the same time, I feel like it's not my demographic. It's not what I'm looking for in terms of a comedy show. So for me, I'm gonna go with a pass on that one also. So I've got 3 passes here. Really, I'm a real comedy lover, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and you and I are different in that I will give this a shot because I, just on the pretense of having Gerard Carmichael and Rel Howery in it, I will give it a shot because I think those guys are talented. And even Sinbad, you want to make him a joke in 2018, that's fine. But like, he was funny at one point too. Maybe not everybody's cup of tea, I get it, but I would like to at least give this thing a shot because there are 3 people in this that I'm like, yeah, these guys were funny or are funny, and they are pretty creative minds. So I will give it a shot. I don't know that it'll last more than a season, though, unfortunately. For all of these, I just feel that way. Okay, so we got all the comedies out of the way.
Let's move on to drama. Yeah. And this next show, if I can take the lead, is kind of fascinating to me reading just briefly. It's based off of Justin Cronin's best-selling trilogy by the same name. It's called The Passage. This is like a show executive produced by, as they will no doubt pitch for this show in every marketing material, Emmy Award winner and Academy and Golden Globe nominee Ridley Scott is executive producing this one. You have the writer Matt Reeves from Dawn of Planet of the Apes and Cloverfield. This is one of those shows. This is a show kind of focused around a secret medical facility where scientists are experimenting with a dangerous virus that could lead to a cure for all disease, but also carries the possibility of wiping out the human race. When a young girl is chosen to be a test subject, federal agent Brad Wolgast is the man who is tasked with bringing her to Project Noah. And then, obviously, hijinks ensue. I think it's a pretty natural storytelling thing to go like, okay, you have this older FBI agent, you have this young girl, there's a father-daughter relationship there, clearly. So I'm interested in the show mainly because, first off, I always like shows based on books. Even something like, and I know Nicholas Skies was in the Shira Chronicles, the MTV production. Even that, which was received pretty poorly, I sort of enjoyed it just because I felt like the quality of writing, the quality of world building was a step above what you usually see from television shows. This is a show that's very interesting to me, and I had not heard a lot about it. I don't know for your part, but I had seen no trailers or anything for this even. So for me, I'm looking at the show kind of surprised by how interested I am in it. I'm surprised Fox would even do it, but I'm kind of in. What do you think?
I have not, and you are right. I've seen pretty much trailers for all of these things except The Passage, I feel like. So I don't know a lot about it. I'm not really into dramas normally, even on normal sort of like, you want to say good television. I don't mean to demean network television, but like a good drama I'm okay with every now and then, but I have to really be into the story if I read it, write the synopsis of like, here's what it's about. I did that with a couple of shows on like HBO and Showtime recently and some stuff like that. But for the most part, the network drama does not do anything for me. So I'm probably not even going to watch this unless it's on my TV because I'm, sitting at my computer and I've got 5 channels with my HD antenna and NBC is one of them, and I'll stop on it and it'll be playing in the background for me. But I don't know a lot about it. I don't ever want to dismiss anything outright. I would love to give it a shot. If it is there, maybe watch a couple of minutes of it and decide from there. But you seem a little more enthusiastic about it. So
I am, and I think the main reason is I looked at the actual book itself. seems like the whole bringing the girl to the medical facility goes very poorly. It seems like it might turn into a bit of a horror show, and fantasy horror is something I love very deeply. So I'm very much going to give it a watch. Now, I don't think this makes it more than one season, just because I think Fox is terrible, and we'll probably cancel this show, mostly because they're probably hoping this tries to hit some Game of Thrones numbers or something like that, and I think they're wildly maybe overestimating the show, or maybe wildly underestimating it, and also because I have not seen many ads for this. I think it doesn't make that many seasons, but I'm sort of really into it. I think the idea for it, having these fucking vampires and stuff that are gonna happen in this, at least from the spoilers, there's vampires in the show, is gonna be very interesting and very fun. So I definitely want to watch this one.
Proven Innocent, also the other drama on Fox that I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot. The Fox stuff I don't.
I know nothing about this.
Yeah, I don't
one.
know a lot about the Fox stuff outside of the comedy. So I'm just gonna read through this real quick. Emmy and Golden Globe Award winner Danny Strong from Empire partners with David Elliott from Four Brothers to tell the emotional story of one woman's fight for the innocence of others as well as her own. Proven Innocent follows an underdog criminal defense firm led by Madeline Scott. She was apparently an Under the Dome.
Oh my god.
A gifted man.
Oh no, that's not good. Under the Dome.
Alby has some feelings on Under the Dome.
Oh boy, that's at some point we're gonna watch Under the Dome together. Mostly because, my god, it is one of the most beautiful shows I've ever watched in my life. There are things that happen in the show that are so ridiculous, and some of the acting is so bad that it's unbelievable. So I'm really excited to watch this show.
Madeline Scott is a fierce and uncompromising lawyer with a hunger for justice. Yeah. Just the way these are written, I don't understand who writes these.
I mean, it's all this marketing bullshit that's still in TV. It's all this like, oh man, we got to make them seem strong and powerful. We're very much relaying a message to you with these words.
Yes, man, this is just ridiculous. There is no one who understands the power of setting an innocent person free more than Madeline. At age 18, she was wrongfully convicted, along with her brother Levi, played by Riley Smith, and in a sensational murder case that made her an infamous media obsession, a household name, and a national celebre. I don't know what that word is. Reading's hard, folks. Madeline runs this firm with her partner, Easy Bordeaux. Who is making these names?
Easy Bordeaux, my friend, my
Baudreau. Sorry, there was I added an extra R, but still, who is making these names? Played by Russell Hornsby of 7 Seconds and Grimm, and basically
Grimm. Let me see which Grimm. Oh, okay. He might be good. Okay.
He might be good. Then there's some other names here that I'm just going to pick out real quick. Vincent Kartheiser, I know that name because he was in Mad Men, but he was also, way back in the day, I believe he was in Angel, and I remember him from Angel, and I liked Angel.
Uh-huh, yes.
He plays somebody named Bodie Quick. Okay. There's another person in here named Violet Bell. This is a podcast that's just about names now that we're making up. Played by Tony Award winner Nikki M. James. And then there's this last one that I want to hit with this name, Gore Bellows, played by Brian Darcy James of 13 Reasons Why and Spotlight. The show I don't know anything about. The names alone kind of got me hooked in because they're kind of crazy. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but sure.
Yeah, I mean, they got some actors in it too, it seems like, and how I can't speak to the Under the Dome lady because but at the same time, I feel like they have some good people on this show that could be decent, I suppose. I feel like this show gets 3 seasons, is where I would put it. I think overall, it has enough, I don't know, shows like this get a few seasons. They go for a while, kind of meander on. I'll have to watch a little bit of it to see if it extends itself above the kind of the other procedural type shows that are out there. But I'm hopeful. We'll see.
Yeah, we will. I don't know that I'm gonna watch much of this. I was just happy to see Vincent Kartheiser getting some work because I liked him.
I'm happy to see Mr. Hornsby getting some work. He was great in Grimm, so I'm very excited.
And if you're Fox, you've got 2 dramas. You better hope one of those hits. Like one of those needs to hit.
I would it seems weird to me, but I've watched a lot of Fox over the last few weeks, and I don't remember them pushing this. It seems like they're very much pushing the comedy shows they have and are kind of pushing their dramas and their other types of shows kind of to the back right now. I think they're really looking for, Last Man Standing to certainly hit, but also for the Little Ray Howley one to hit too. And if those don't hit, I don't think they've given enough marketing to some of these other shows, so it's going to be a little harder for them to make an impact with those.
Yeah, I agree. And then the last few things here, I'll just go through pretty quickly. They're doing Rent, the live musical. They did this, I believe, once before, or a couple of times before, where they just run a live musical of Rent with very talented, great Broadway actors.
I think it's the best thing they do right now. I think it's the best thing on Fox is they're doing these live musicals. They're great every time.
They're wonderful. Yeah, they're absolutely wonderfully done, and I can't stress how hard that has to be doing a live musical on television, making sure everything is Whereas with recorded shows, you can at least have some wiggle room for editing and post production and stuff. But a live musical is really insanely hard to do and pull off with all the choreography and everything like that. So that's probably one of my most look forward to things here, believe it or not. I think those are really well done, and I always look forward to those. And then we've got the Cosmos series, which comes back again with Neil deGrasse Tyson in some capacity doing some stuff, talking about all of this. I think he does the voiceover in this and all of that. Yeah,
Yes, he's the voice of whatever God or whatever, and talking over science.
Yeah, and these do really well. It just I don't dislike Neil deGrasse Tyson at all.
I sort of do, but at the same time, it's not an intense dislike. I just got kind of ambivalent mainly.
Yeah, I'm actually with you. I wanted to couch it on the front end by saying I don't dislike him, but there are times where that he's the smartest guy in the room, and he's sort of just he knows that he's the smartest guy in the room, and it rubs me the wrong way sometimes with Neil. And he's a smart, obviously far more intelligent than I will ever be at anything, no matter what I choose to do. But sometimes it's just a little bit too much for me. But this show is pretty good.
Yes.
I've watched a little bit of it. It's very it's sort of a pop science sort of thing, right? It forces you to pay attention to it because it draws you in with fun stuff. And if that helps people learn, then great. I'm all for it.
Then you want to move on to CBS, America's most watched network.
The CBS. Oh, CBS is...
So overall, though, before we move on, Fox, yay or nay, what do you think they're going to end up with? Are they going to end up good or bad at the end of this?
I think if we're being realistic, I think Last Man Standing will be fine for them for ratings wise. I think they're going to do fine with that. That's probably going to be the only thing that people tune into. I think Rel is going to be pretty low ratings. I think the dramas...
I think there's maybe 2 shows out of their slot that make it.
One of those dramas needs to be good.
And the musical.
Yeah.
I think one of the dramas will hit. I think it's going to be Passages because it's a book one and there's some clout behind it with Ridley Scott.
Yeah, Ridley Scott, definitely.
The rest of it, I feel like not going to hit. I think Rent will do well. I think Cosmos will do well and keep going with those kind of live musicals and some of their educational programming stuff. But the rest of it will end up being tossed aside probably after the season.
If you wanted me to give you a top 3, I would say Last Man Standing would be number 1. Rent would be number 2, and I think Cosmos and Rel would be tied for number 3.
For you really love Last Man Standing. I can't believe how much you love that show. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I really do love it. I'll talk about it at a later time about how much I love that show. Anyway, moving on to CBS, the America's, as you said, America's most watched network. However, I have seen NBC copping their phrase recently, saying that they are now the most watched network, which is weird. I didn't know NBC could do that, but whatever. All right.
Okay, first off, I'll go
CBS.
Happy Together with CBS. Happy Together comedy. We'll start with comedy again, starring Damon Wayans Jr.
Okay. I mean, I don't. CBS has one comedy, and it's The Big Bang Theory, and it's finally ending this year. And we're gonna get to these other ones real quick. There's nothing here that's making me gonna go man, CBS knows comedy, huh? This is all just Damon Wayans Jr. and Amber Stevens West are in a comedy. They're 30-something-year-old happily married couple. They're beginning to reconnect with their cooler selves when
Oh man.
when Cooper, played by Felix Mallard, an exuberant young pop star drawn to their super ordinary suburban lifestyle, unexpectedly moves in with them, and this is already
Okay,
That's
that's
already-
enough. That's enough. First off, I don't like Mr. Wayne's very much. After what happened with Lethal Weapon, I have some strong feelings about that man, and I think he killed a very good show with some of the things that happened there. And I think this sounds terrible. Just gonna be honest with you, it's gonna get a season, and then it's gonna end. All right.
You think it's gonna get a season? I think it's gonna get 6 episodes.
I mean, it's either gonna get 6 episodes, or we're looking back on this show 10 years from now, and it's one of the longest running TV shows of all time, or something like that. It's
such a bad.
It's so bad.
It's such a bad. Like, what about that? Like, at least make some. I know network shows are not going for realism all the time. I get it. I totally get it. You can put look at the Orville, stuff like that. Like, way out there. Like, that exists. It exists in a certain plane. If it's comedy, you can get away with more stuff, I guess. But this just seems stupid. Like, I don't understand how anybody, like a pop star, is going to be like, yo, what's up, guys? I see that you're living this ordinary lifestyle. I just wanted to stop in and live with you guys. Hey, all right. Like, what? What are you talking about? Like, what? Who thought that was a good idea? I don't get it. I really don't understand it. Man.
it's so bad. The
Neighborhood, this is the other show. It's also a comedy. It's got Cedric the Entertainer in it as an opinionated neighbor in a comedy about what happens when the friendliest guy, again, I'm reading verbatim here, the friendliest guy in the Midwest moves his family to a neighborhood in Los Angeles where not everyone looks like him or appreciates his extreme neighborliness. So,
I mean, that's better than the other one, Like, of the two, the one that I feel like most likely gets another season is The Neighborhood.
I just find it weird that these two shows are about, like, neighbors. Like, what? Like, the first 2 shows out of the gate, like, hey, what if sitting around in the comedy, like, sitting around in the writer's room talking about comedies, like, hey, what if we had neighbors? Like, let's do a thing revolving around neighbors. And you're like, I think 1 show is good enough. No, let's make 2 shows about that idea. All right, sure, I don't care.
I feel like this show and the other one very much about Roseanne. I mean, it's very much, it's a Midwest, first off, with The Neighborhood. It's a person from the Midwest, that they're being all nice. It's very focused around that. I really feel like it's a reaction to Roseanne and wanting a show where it's like, we got let's move into the neighborhood, right? And I don't know.
Cedric the Entertainer plays the guy that's wary of all the new people. He's afraid that they're going to disrupt everything. And then he finds out that, like, oh, we've got more in common than we thought. I don't see this going past a season, if that, like 7 episodes.
Also, it speaks to our political climate right now, right? Like, I think these shows are like, hey, how about we make some comedy shows about people being divided and people having opinions about other people, Like, both of these shows are like, oh, look at this pop star coming into this normal suburban world, or this person who's on, like, outsiders and interacting with people who are already in an area. That's very much, I don't know, the bread and butter of both of these shows, which is really weird.
But it's not even really doing the thing of, like, trying to get the Midwest sort of perspective, because these are 2 black families.
They're moving them out of it.
And the fact that there are 2 black families already is sort of alienating that whole idea of going, like, hey, what if we put these people in, like, normal or weird, like, middle of the country sort of, like, or take them from here to Los Angeles so they can be like, man, Los Angeles is zany, huh? Like, it's just, I don't know that you're buying any goodwill with any of this stuff. I don't think it's going to work out the way that they want it to, honestly. Maybe I'm wrong. I can be wrong about all of this. I have no problems being wrong about all of this. I'm just saying what I think will happen.
Next up, Murphy Brown. This show actually interests me a decent amount. It's obviously a revival. It's about a news channel, a news legend, a broadcasting legend returning to the world of news in the 24-hour cable kind of world with social media and stuff. I think I like this a lot because the original Murphy Brown was very much also kind of a very political, very open show about things that I don't think people at that time period were thinking very much about. I think this will be interesting. I'm hoping it does well. I hope it does very good things because I think I like the actress who plays Murphy Brown, Candice Bergen.
Just for the record, Murphy Brown premiered 1988, the end of 1988.
I think a show like this can work right now. I think it's a proven formula, and I just hope for good things for it because I feel like it's a, I like the idea of coming back with a Murphy Brown TV show. Like I think that's, of the revivals we've had lately, a pretty good one, I think, and it's a funny idea. I think you can do a lot of funny stuff with it, and you can provide a lot of commentary on different things that are happening in the world. So I'm excited to watch the show. Actually,
I've got bad news for you. So this already aired, and it did not do well in the ratings.
Oh.
It scored very low. It was 1.1 in the demo, and that's not very good. So you might be one of the few people excited about a Murphy Brown reboot. I'm getting this from the HollywoodReporter.com, just looking at some of the rating stuff. And apparently, given how much they touted it, it did very poorly for what it was.
That's a shame. I was going to say this will probably get 2-3 seasons. This might get one. This will probably get one season. I don't know if they pick it back up. Maybe they do just because of the name recognition. I feel like 2 is probably the more likely thing for this show. Yeah, it's a shame that people aren't enjoying it. I mean, I get why we're so politicized already. Maybe you don't want to watch a show about some of that political stuff right now. But
yeah, and maybe it's just a case of one bad week. But usually, if the premiere doesn't start out great, that's not a good indicator. I mean, of the future. I should say it is an indication that maybe people are not going to keep watching it. So I hope that it does well because I don't mind Murphy Brown. I didn't really watch much of it, but I did like from the little bit that I saw where I was like, this seems like it could be okay. But maybe a season or 2 if it's lucky and it could survive. But again, the comedies from CBS, they need something to hit because with the Big Bang going away, they're going to have a big hole to fill with a comedy. And I don't know that any of the 3 that we've talked about here, and there's another one further down on this list that looks horrible also, that I don't think that any of these are going to fill in for that. So the next one we got here, this is in the drama category, FBI, and this is from everybody's favorite.
Everybody's favorite, Dick the Wolf.
Emmy award-winning Dick Wolf.
So this is a show that I watched already. I watched the first episode of FBI, and I can tell you what, it's a Dick Wolf show.
Is that good or bad?
It's about the FBI. It's fine. I'm not a big, it's a procedural show. It's about like FBI agents battling different types of crime, counterterrorism, terrorism, like organized crime stuff. It's fine. It'll get 20 seasons. It's fine.
What?
It's fine. Production value is very good. The writing seems solid. It's one of these. It's it's nothing exceptional. It's a procedural. It does it all very well. There's a little bit of tinge of politics there, choosing the FBI as the focal point of this show. I think there's a tinge of that around the edge, but at the same time, it's gonna get 20 seasons. That's all I know. It's Dick Wolf.
It's Dick. You think the name Dick Wolf buys you 5 seasons automatically?
Buys you 5 automatically. I mean, it could just be a video of him cutting a sandwich, and he'd get 5 seasons of that. I don't know. Dick Wolf is very good at making these shows that, don't do much. They don't move the apple cart a lot, but they just kind of keep going and going and going and going. I wonder how many episodes of Law and Order there are now, because there have been
600,000.
Really?
No, that's not true. No, I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. Yeah, this here is essentially what you would want. It's basically just a Dick Wolf written sort of thing of hey, these are first-class agents, and they bring all of their talents, intellect, and technical expertise to tenaciously investigate cases of tremendous magnitude. Is somebody just using a fucking thesaurus to write this? Including terrorism, organized crime, and counterintelligence, in order to keep New York and the country safe. That's every Dick Wolf thing ever. So then you have a better understanding of it. Yeah, it's going to last a little while, probably, even if the ratings aren't great, if I had to guess, because it's Dick Wolf.
There are 456 episodes of Law and Order, and of Law and Order Special Victim Unit, there is 436 episodes of that show. So yes, this show will keep going for a long time. I think it does everything it needs to. I don't watch these shows for extended periods of time because, my God, I don't know who does. I'll catch an episode from time to time. I think it'll do very well. I think it's just positioned very well for them. So yeah, it's gonna fit very nicely, like a snug glove, right into that CBS thing. And it's one of those shows I certainly see as like almost definite renewal. Every time it comes up. So
yeah, I think I'm with you on that, just because it's Dick Wolf. I think it gets like 5 seasons and then probably goes from there, if I had to guess, of like, yeah, it'll get more. They'll just have to keep going like, well, it's Dick Wolf, and okay, sure.
Maybe they'll put out different thing at the end of it, and it'll be like FBI
spin-offs. Yeah, it's like, oh, of course, yeah, that's gonna be what happens. But I think that'll do okay with them. All right, let's talk about God Friended Me.
Okay.
This said when I got the information, it was a drama/comedy. And I'm not so sure about that, so I'm going to go ahead and read some of this. This stars Brandon Michael Hall in a humorous, uplifting drama about Miles Finer, an outspoken atheist.
Here we go.
An outspoken atheist whose life is turned upside down when he receives a friend request on social media from God and unwittingly becomes an agent of change in the lives and destinies of others around him. Hey, Miles, maybe it's a troll account. Why would God have an account? It's not a real person.
Wouldn't he just call, wouldn't he just have a conversation with you? Why does it have to be social media?
Hey, Miles, go to church. God can speak to you in your heart at church.
Yep.
He doesn't need to friend you. He's inside all of us. Each and every one of us, if we believe hard enough. After repeated pokes by God. What? That's a real sentence. What? After repeated pokes by God, Miles' curiosity takes over. What does that mean, pokes? Does Facebook still do pokes?
They still do pokes, yep. He gets poked by God every once in a while. Like, hey, man, what's going on?
Every sentence after each one of these is it's a chef's kiss of after repeated pokes by God, Miles' curiosity takes over and he accepts the ultimate friend request and follows the signs to Kara Bloom, who's played by Violet Bean, an online journalist. Brought together by the God account, the two find themselves investigating God's friend suggestions and inadvertently helping others. This is bad.
I'm going to stop you there just to say, it's so ridiculous that it almost might work.
It might. I don't know. Maybe it will. It's a drama comedy.
I think it'll get 3 to 4 seasons. I'll be honest with you. I think it's just so crazy. If they can write themselves out of a box, I think they'll do very well.
Oh, look at that. God's friended me on Twitter, and I didn't make a show about it. You think God tweets? Does God tweet, or is he a Facebook guy? Do you think God likes all the Facebook stuff that's happening right now?
No.
You think God would use Facebook? That's his social platform, Facebook.
Yep.
Definitely Facebook. What are you doing with this show?
I just feel like it's so weird, mainly because of how the reaction to Facebook is right now. It's just weird. It's very strange. It might work. I can't tell you. This is a show that is so out of the box it might offend people who are really religious. It's so in the box that I feel like the people that would watch this show are going to be very bored, but I just don't.
I don't know what this is. I don't see this lasting. You know what? I'm with you. It can go one of two ways. It's going to last 2 episodes or it's going to last 5 seasons. I don't know which. I don't know which one it's going to be. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if maybe it's going to be better in execution than it is on paper. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, reading about The Good Place, I'll say I thought when I was thinking about watching The Good Place and I read it, I was like, I kind of had that same feeling I have when I read through this. So who knows? It could end up being great. They could write this thing like they're fucking out of their minds and it'd be amazing, but I don't know. I have no idea how it's going to be. It could be good. It could be bad. I feel like it gets at least one more season.
I might watch this just to see what it is, because I'm actually interested in knowing how it's written, what it's gonna explain to me, how it sets everything up. I might end up just diving in on that and going like, all right, let's see where this goes, because it's so silly and so dumb and so fucking ridiculous that I'm just like, all right, you know what? Yeah, sure. What are we doing with network TV writing nowadays, man? I just don't understand it. Speaking of network television writing, hey, we ran out of ideas. Hey, you want to bring back Magnum PI? Sure, why the fuck not? Magnum PI's back. It's a modern take on the classic series, starring Jay Hernandez as Thomas Magnum. Maybe you've heard of him. A decorated...
No, I have not. Not at all. No, I've never heard of him.
A decorated former Navy SEAL. Well, let me tell you about him. Upon returning home from Afghanistan, repurposes his military skills to become a private investigator.
Oh.
He's a charming rogue, which is, again, the way they write these things is just like...
Very fun, isn't it? I've never read through all of these like this, and it's very interesting to hear all these words. Sort of like they use a lot of buzzwords, like a lot of buzzwords. An American hero he's also, and a diehard Detroit Tigers fan.
Yeah, he's a Detroit Tigers fan. Good for him.
I'm sure that's gonna play big in Detroit, so that's great. I don't fucking know.
I don't either. I mean,
is this another Hawaii 5-0? I don't know. Maybe. I watched this show and I still don't know.
I want to double down on this. I gave you the news that Murphy Brown was a terrible, by all means, ratings-wise when it premiered. Magnum PI, not much better. It did a 1.2 in the demo.
Okay.
So...
Well, I was part of that 1.2, and I can tell you, it's okay. I mean, it's all right. It didn't really intrigue me. It didn't make me excited. Like, there's some shows I've watched this season where I was very hyped for it. This show's probably going to get a few seasons, but I don't care. All right.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah. There's some, I put some other stuff in here real quick. I'm not going to go in depth with these. There's some mid-season CBS shows that they're going to do. One's called The Code, drama about the military's brightest minds, because we all fucking need more military stuff in our lives, I guess. I don't know. It seems pretty run-of-the-mill, milquetoast sort of, hey, man, here's another thing about the troops.
It won't make it. I don't think mid-season shows make it very often, and I feel like The Code's probably not going to be one of those. So
yeah, and there's not a lot of information here other than like it stars Anna Wood, and here's a couple of other people that you've probably never heard of, and hopefully it does well, because I never want anything to fail, but it just seems very run-of-the-mill to me, so I don't see that going very far. There's another show here for the CBS mid-season. Fam stars Nina Dobrev. I know that name, I don't know why. And Tone Bell in a comedy about a woman whose vision of a perfect life with her adoring fiancé and his wonderful parents is radically altered when her 16-year-old out-of-control half-sister unexpectedly comes to live with her. Oh, no. And it's one of those kinds of shows. So have fun with that. Probably not going to do that well either, if I had to guess. Who knows? I
would doubt it.
Pretty standard fare when it comes to network comedies. And then there's this last one. Has maybe I think the best shot of these three. The Red Line from the acclaimed... this is from Ava DuVernay.
Okay.
She's got a good pedigree behind her. If anybody can make something work, it's going to be her. It's from her and Greg Berlanti. It's a drama. It follows three different families in Chicago who are dealing with the loss and tragedy and things like that. This one's going to be, if it works, is going to be surprising to me, because this is a pretty politically sounding show. The loss and the tragedy intersect in the wake of a mistaken shooting of an African-American doctor by a white cop, so already it's pretty polarizing.
Yep.
But if anybody can pull it off, I think Ava DuVernay can. It just depends on the audience. A CBS audience that's watching this, I have my doubts that it's going to work, but if any show of these is the best of these three, is going to be the best written and most enticing to me, it would be this one, even though it is a drama, just because I like Ava DuVernay's work, and I would be willing to give it a shot. But I don't think CBS watchers as a whole, the demographic, is going to give that thing a fair shake. If I had to lobby a guess, I would like to be wrong on that, but if you're putting this at like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe anywhere else it would work. All right. Now, here is, for my money, the best, probably doing it the best right now when it comes to network sitcoms. NBC.
Mm-hmm.
We can just run.
Sure.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine is going there.
Yep.
They had Community for a while. They've had Superstore, which I will bang the drum for. I think it's a great show. They had The Office, obviously. The Good Place has been phenomenal. I love that show. NBC kind of gets it when they're doing this stuff, and I feel like NBC has got this sort of on lock currently with all of this stuff. Abby's is a comedy, and I was here. I heard Michael Schur. I believe it's Michael Schur that was doing some work on this. I heard him do an interview recently, and he was from The Office. He was Dwight's brother, but he's also a very well-known writer and showrunner in the Hollywood circles. And he was telling the person that was interviewing him that, like, yeah, that we like this comedy, but we also feel like it's just Cheers at some point, so he's had to write it differently, which I respect, because he's like, well, we don't just want it to be Cheers. We want it to be like something else. So it's from the producers of The Good Place, which is already good. That's a good starting point.
Yep.
It's a comedy about the best bar in San Diego. It's got good prices. Again, reading here. Great company. And, of course, Abby, the unlicensed makeshift bar nestled in her backyard, is the opposite of everything annoying about today's party scene. There are rules at Abby's. No cell phones, not even to look something up. Earning a seat at the bar takes time, and losing a challenge means drinking a limey, sugary, not beer drink. Cool. As the oddball cast of regulars will tell you, hanging out at Abby's is a coveted honor. But once you're in your family. So it's basically about this lady running a bar at her house. And apparently, from what I heard in this interview with Michael Schur, it was, I might even be misattributing it to Michael Schur, but he was talking about it on there. Anyway, they said that they were shooting this at night, which was different. Like, they were shooting this whole thing at night, which was different from the regular productions of the things that he had done. He's just like, yeah, we're doing some minor things to make this thing different. So it gives me hope that it might actually be pretty good. I'm looking forward to this. I might watch this.
I think
it'll be okay.
I like it. I mean, yes, they're saying it's like Cheers, but at the same time, I could go for some Cheers, you know?
Yeah, it seems like a 2018 Cheers or some equivalent.
I spoke about on our first podcast about the show Lodge 49, which has a similar idea of like, hey, here's a show about like spending time as a group, doing a thing. In that show, it's about a lodge or a fraternal order. This show's about just like a bar. Like, I like that idea, and I think it's a warm, kind of heartfelt thing in a time period right now where you kind of need some warm, heartfelt things like that. So I'm excited for that show. I think that'll get a few seasons.
I think so too. I think the way that it was talked up by Schur on the podcast that I was listening to made it sound like he was doing his best to like subvert some of the stuff that you're expecting, but also keep sort of it like on the one hand subverting it, but also going like, yeah, it's sort of like Cheers in a way, and I respect that. And I think if anybody like Michael Schur's got a good mind for this stuff, he's done a lot of good work. So I'm going to give this a shot, and I hope it lasts for a couple seasons because it sounds like a cool thing. I Feel Bad is a comedy.
The other side of the coin to me.
I saw the first 2 episodes that premiered.
Okay. And what did you think?
I watched this sort of in and out. I believe it might have been after football or something. I don't remember. But I had it on my TV, and I was sort of paying attention to it, and I don't know how to feel about it because it's let me just read. I'll read a synopsis here. Emmett is the perfect mom, boss, wife, friend, and daughter. And then, okay, she's not perfect. Good, nice little fun little nice writing.
Little twist.
Writing. Thanks, guys.
I get it.
In fact, she's just figuring it out like the rest of us. Sure, she feels bad when she has a sexy dream about someone. This is what it says. About someone other than her husband, or when she pretends not to know her kids when they misbehave in public. Who amongst us, really? Or
I mean, who doesn't?
Or when she uses her staff to help solve personal problems. But that's okay, right? And it's basically it's from Amy Poehler. The title, I believe, comes from Amy Poehler in an interview saying that as a woman, she always feels bad for something she's done during the day, which is the title of the show. She said I feel bad about something that I have done to somebody or said or something like that. Now, I will say there are a couple of people in this thing that I really do like a lot. Mm-hmm. I like James Buckley a lot. He's a funny dude, and I see him. It's weird because he's on a YouTube channel that I watch quite a bit. He's a part of that YouTube channel, and he's also a pretty well-regarded actor as well. Uh-huh. And then there was the other guy who played Bo in Superstore, who was like a deadbeat white rapper who was with Cheyenne for a little while. and like
Oh, okay.
he's really funny in that. One of the best characters in that. He's also in this as her like coworkers, and some of it's just the writing of it doesn't feel good yet. It's very cheesy from the stuff that I've seen. It just hits all of the same lazy network comedy tropes of hitting the one-liners or being super like cliched in moments where you're hoping it'll subvert that a little bit. And yeah, coming from Amy Poehler, I wish it was just a little, but I'm willing to give it some time. Maybe it just needs to find its voice first,
I could see this getting a second season just for that reason of like, it's from Amy Poehler, an established, a industry luminary. I think I'll get 2 seasons, but at the same time, I feel like it just seems cringy. Like some of the stuff about it is just not. Like I'm not a comedy guy, but it doesn't seem to elevate itself beyond a lot of the other comedies right now.
Yeah, and to defend this very quickly, I will say Parks and Rec, the first season, was not good. It was trying to be The Office, and eventually by the end of the first season, it realized in order to be good, it doesn't need to be The Office. It can just be its own thing. And to bring it back to Michael Schur, on that podcast I was listening to, he admitted that. He was like, we were trying to be The Office, and we were marketed as The Office. And we aren't The Office.
Sure.
And by the 5th or 6th episode, we realized that we were writing this in a way that was not conducive to what we needed it to be. And then by episode 5 or 6, they were like, okay, we got this figured out now. Going forward, it's going to be better. So I'm hoping that's the case here, where it's maybe it just needs a season to get its legs underneath of it, and then the second season it can really flourish, because I do like the people that are involved in this thing, and I like Buckley, I like Bo from the Superstore, I like Amy Poehler, and I like Soraya Blue who plays the mom in this. Like she's I think she does a good job. I just wish the writing was better, and I'm willing to see it through for a season or two to see if it will get better, and I hope it does, because I would be on board with it.
I agree. I hope it does as well.
Yeah, I'm really hoping it'll be good. Drama for
dramas.
NBC.
Let's move on to dramas.
The Enemy Within. The Enemy Within. It sounds ominous already.
A fast-paced spy hunting thriller. Erica Shepard, played by Jennifer Carpenter, is a brilliant former CIA operative, now known as the most notorious traitor in American history, serving life in a supermax prison. Against every fiber of his being, but with nowhere else to turn, FBI agent Will Keaton, played by Morris Chestnut, enlists Shepard to help track down a fiercely dangerous and elusive criminal she knows all too well.
Okay, next. I don't care. I don't care.
All right, next. Nah, I don't give a fuck. All right, next. The Inbetweener has Casey Bishop was born with a gift, though she may call it a curse. She can see and communicate with the dead, helping them resolve their problems, whether she likes it or not. All right. I mean, that's good enough for me to watch. This is a show I think, just on that like initial sentence premise, is interesting enough. I'm hopeful for it. It's got the writer and producer of Castle and Madam Secretary has it, so they do pretty decent shows. I'm excited for it. I think it should be good. Don't really know many people in the cast, but at the same time, I think it looks pretty good. I'm hopeful for it.
Yeah, I guess from just that sentence, I would be okay sitting down and giving it a shot. It's better than better than what I just read, I feel like. So yeah, sure. It seems like it could be okay. The Inbetween, maybe. Okay. And then the next one I've actually seen a little bit of, Manifest, which is...
I have as well, sir.
Okay, let me read some of this, and then I'll ask you how you feel about this. When Montego Air Flight 828 landed safely after a turbulent but routine flight, the crew and passengers were relieved. Yet, in the span of those few hours, the world had aged 5 years, and their friends, families, and colleagues, after mourning their loss, had given up hope and moved on. Now, faced with the impossible, they're all given a second chance. But as their new realities become clear, a deeper mystery unfolds. And some of the returned passengers soon realize that they may be meant for something greater than they ever thought possible. You said you watched some of this, right?
Yes, I watched the first episode of Manifest.
Okay. Tell me how you feel about it, because I've just seen trailers and I don't. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it.
You know, I might not be able to elucidate to you to make you believe. I mean, to be honest with you, you take it on its face. It's obviously about many of the airplane disasters that have happened in the last 5 years, and about how some of these airplanes can go down in the ocean, people can never find them and stuff like that. So you have to kind of take that context into consideration. When I watched that first episode, though, I found it pretty interesting. It's a show that reminded me a lot of some of these other shows that have come along over the years. I'm thinking of The Disappearances or The 100 or something like that, where a lot of people were abducted. I'm thinking also of things like, I don't know, Haven and this kind of stuff. This show has kind of a basic premise, almost feels like a Stephen King kind of thing, and then it's kind of spun on itself. So for me, that first episode had promise. I thought it was fairly interesting. I think it was. I don't know. I don't know the actors. I don't know the writers. I don't have any of that background to tell whether or not they're going to be able to pull it off. But as somebody that kind of enjoys this type of show, has watched this same kind of drama over the years, I'm interested enough to see where it goes. I'll give it a few more episodes. I think the first episode did enough to go to pique my interest, let's say, to make me consider that it might have something to say at certain points. But at the same time, it's kind of a sink or swim thing. It's very possible the show lands on its face and not on its feet. Get it? Because it's an airplane show.
Yeah, no, I liked what you did there. I really did. It bears noting that this is from Robert Zemeckis and Jack Rapke. Zemeckis is somebody that I know of, and he's got a proliferation of work that he's done. So I would be willing to give him a shot. I've seen the trailers for this thing so many times that I don't know that I want to see it through. I mean, I don't know.
So something that tinges this for me is, I guess, spoilers, but I've been watching Castle Rock. I watched through all of Castle Rock, the television show. That show was very, very good until the last episode. And for me, I'm worried that this show kind of follows the same trajectory of, we have a lot of mysteries and we answer none of the mysteries. It just keeps making more and more mysteries. And listen, I enjoyed that type of storytelling. I'm a big Twin Peaks fan, and they don't explain jack shit about that show. But at the same time, you have to make it feel good, and I think that the gut feeling I have about it is, I'm worried that it ends up not feeling good at the end, because it is this sort of mystery thing. You have to kind of blow people's socks off, and sometimes it can be excessively difficult for a network show to do that in a way that makes people really excited. So I'm hopeful, but at the same time, I have some reserved thoughts about how they could make this work.
It is. I will say that it will hook me in from the aspect that I'm willing to admit this on a public forum. I may have gone down a Wikipedia rabbit hole for people who have randomly disappeared, and flights that have disappeared, and things that just randomly disappear and nobody hears from them again. I may have spent numerous hours doing that and just reading up.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, so that kind of stuff really intrigues me. So maybe from that sort of view, I could see myself sitting down and watching this, because I think it's kind of out there, and I'm all for anything that's a little out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the shows you watch this season on NBC. This is one of the stronger ones. They've been pushing it very hard. I think it's got an interesting premise, and I think there's a chance it could land thing, but it also is a chance it ends up being a lost, where it never quite hits where you wanted to hit. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about Manifest.
I think Manifest is going to be better than this next drama, which I happened to catch
Oh,
some of
yeah.
last night, actually. New Amsterdam, which is a doctor show, essentially. It's inspired by Bellevue, the oldest public hospital in America. This unique medical drama follows the brilliant and charming Dr. Max Goodwin, the institution's newest medical doctor.
Oh, I get it. He's supposed to be good because his last name is Goodwin.
Yeah.
I get it.
He's the newest medical director who sets out to tear up the bureaucracy and provide exceptional health care at all costs because he's a noble man. Well, how can he help? Well, the doctors and staff have heard this before, not taking no for an answer. Dr. Goodwin must disrupt the status quo and prove he will stop at nothing to breathe new life into this understaffed, underfunded, and underappreciated hospital. The only one in the world capable of treating Ebola patients, prisoners from Rikers, and the President of the United States under one roof. And return it to the glory that put it on the map. So, this is a doctor show. It's basically... from the 30 minutes to 45 minutes I could stomach. I don't remember if this was an hour-long show. That should tell you how much I was paying attention to it. I had this on the TV, and the first couple of scenes, he was in a sort of this auditorium thing, and he was sort of speaking his mind of, like, we need to take down the bureaucracy. Basically what this says, he's like, we need to take down the bureaucracy of medicine. Everybody should be allowed to have medicine at no cost, and we're going to make it viable for everybody, which, like, hey, that's a cause I can get behind. But the way that it's portrayed in this show is just the most ham-fisted, like, idealistic, perfect. It's a network show, so, like, of course it's going to be written that way. Like, he's got a quip for everything. He's got an answer for everything right off the top of his head. It's just not grounded in any sort of realism, which felt like, I don't know. It
felt like from all the trailers that was House. Is it House, but with, like,
sort of
a hospital instead of House?
sort of, but without the actual good parts of House, which is Hugh Laurie. So it's just this guy who's trying to be very charismatic and trying to put everybody. I think one of the first things I saw in the episode was, like, we're not going to have waiting rooms anymore. We're going to put these people right into a room right away. And it's like, okay, I mean, that's a cool idea, I guess, but what? Just randomly. He's just trying to. He fires a lot of people in the first episode where he's just like, hey, who wants to be here? Who doesn't want to be here? Who actually wants to do this? And, like, people walk out of the auditorium, and then he just sort of goes on this long soliloquy a little bit about, like, we're gonna do all this and blah blah blah, and it's so, again, just lazy. Like, it's a lazily written show about, like, and the guy, maybe he'll be able to pull it off if they give him a couple more episodes, but it just feels like it was made it was made with science in mind. Like, you've got scientists with their beakers and their lab coats, and they're going like, what would be a good drama to put on NBC this fall season? And they put, a little bit of this into a beaker and a little bit of that into a flask, and they swished it around a little bit, and they said, like,
what if we took Grey's Anatomy, put one part House, one part This Is Us, and one part that show with that guy who's autistic and also a super genius at medicine? What if he put them in a beaker together, shook it for about 15 minutes? What would pop out? And this is that show, I think.
Yeah. Except you missed the part where they put it on a Bunsen burner and let it really percolate for a little while. But yeah, that's essentially what it is. It just feels like all a mishmash of different things like that. And maybe it'll do well because it's inoffensive, relatively inoffensive in what it's doing, but I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe it's good because you don't want to have to think when you're watching TV or network TV anyway. So maybe it'll work out. I don't know. But it just didn't do much for me. It could be I'm out of the demographic, so maybe it'll do fine. Maybe the things that I hate are the things that are going to do the best out of this whole thing. So who knows? And the last one we got here is
The Village.
Yes, it's The Village, and this is an apartment building in Brooklyn that appears like any other from the outside, but it's unique on the inside. The people who reside here
Inside is M. Night Shyamalan. and the village people.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah, it's a
story.
horror actually.
It's actually a horror movie.
yes.
I mean, I was surprised. I thought this was gonna be a network show, but nope, it's an M. Night Shyamalan production. Very strange. All right.
Yeah, it was weird. I wasn't expecting that. So the people who reside inside, their family, their friends, their neighbors, and it's a whole motley crew of different people. Sarah's a nurse and a single mom raising a creative teen. Gabe's a young law student who got much older and unexpected roommate. Ava must secure the future of her young U.S.-born son when ICE comes. Whoa, that got heavy real quick. When ICE comes knocking. All right. Nick's a veteran who's returned from war. He's probably the ICE agent that's taking her son. No, I'm just kidding. That's mean. The heart and soul of the building. Ron and Patricia have captivating tales of their own. So it's basically a motley crew of people living in an apartment who are going to forge an unlikely friendship with one another, it sounds like. Yeah, take it or leave it. It is what it is.
It takes a village to raise a child. That's all I know. That's probably the whole reference to the show, right?
And on that note, we're going to go ahead and go to ABC. We can't do it any perfectly than that.
I can't fucking... Oh, my...
Hey, ABC is just a bunch of game shows like now. I didn't realize that.
I mean, that's all they do. They do Good Morning America, and then the rest of the day is just terrible talk shows and game shows. And
we need to do an
that's
episode
their slate.
on daytime
I would love
television
to.
because I've been unemployed.
Holy shit.
And there's a lot of bad daytime television. Anyway, I digress. ABC. Hey, do you like Michael Strahan? Well, he's on the morning show. You should watch it. Anyway.
Oh, great.
The kids are all right. This is a comedy. We're starting out with the comedies again. This is set in the 1970s. This ensemble comedy follows a traditional Irish Catholic family, the Clearys.
Oh, okay.
As they navigate big and small challenges during one of America's most turbulent decades. I don't know. Have you taken a look?
I don't know. Have you been in 2018 yet? Because, boy, my dude.
In a working-class neighborhood outside Los Angeles, Mike and Peggy raise 8 boisterous boys. Wow, that's a lot. Who live out their days with little supervision. The household is turned upside down when the oldest son, Lawrence, returns home and announces he's quitting the seminary to go off and, quote, save the world. Don't know what that means. Times are changing, and this family will never be the same. There are 10 people, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and everyone in it must fend for themselves. So this is cool, I guess. I don't know.
Can I be honest with you?
What?
Looking at the poster for The Kids Are Alright coming to ABC, every single person has a punchable face on that poster.
Great.
Every single one.
Great.
I don't think the show's... I think the show's going to do several seasons. I'm not going to watch it because, oh God, no. Oh God, no.
Yeah, even as a comedy,
all
I don't know that I can get behind this one. That's just too much stuff happening for me to be involved in it. Whatever.
Nope.
Whatever.
Yep,
Maybe
nope.
it'll do fine. Maybe it'll be fine. But there's nobody here. There's no names that really stick out to me that make me go like, oh, maybe I will check in on it. But no, I'm okay.
The next one is Schooled. It's a spinoff of The Goldbergs. It's another comedy show. It's a lot like the last one. It's a period piece. It's kind of a weird... We'll be set in 1990-something. It will follow the hilarious teachers of William Penn Academy. That's it.
Yeah. Tim Meadows is in it. Tim Meadows is being played by... What? Yeah, Tim Meadows. Okay, I was like, yeah, Tim Meadows is the name there. Brian Callen, AJ Michalka. AJ Michalka? Really? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a spinoff, I guess. I didn't realize it was a spinoff of The Goldbergs. The Goldbergs is apparently a pretty good show. I don't watch it.
Nor do I.
So
not a clue.
Maybe it's got that going for it, just because it's a Goldberg spinoff. Maybe it'll be fun.
Also, what's with comedy shows that having spinoffs now? That never used to be the case, but now The Big Bang Theory has a spinoff. Now the Goldbergs have a spinoff. It's very strange.
It is strange. Single Parents is a show that I actually ended up watching the other night when it premiered. And
okay.
Just
Talk
read
me a
this.
little about that.
I'll read a little bit of this and then give you what I thought. This ensemble comedy follows a group of single parents as they lean on each other to help raise their 7-year-old kids and maintain some kind of personal lives outside of parenthood. The series begins when the group meets Will, a 30-something guy who's been so focused on raising his daughter that he's lost sight of who he is as a man. Oh no.
What?
I don't know what that means. What?
What?
That's not what I got when I watched. Anyway, when the other single parents see just how far down the rabbit hole of PTA parenting and Princess's Will has gone, they band together to get him out in the dating world and make him realize being a great parent doesn't mean sacrificing everything about your own identity. So Taran Killam is the main guy that they're talking, that 30-something-year-old guy that they're talking about. Leighton Meester is in this. We've also got Brad Garrett was in this as well, and he does a pretty good job from what I saw. I liked this show more than I thought I would. I was watching it, and there are some cute moments in this thing that are kind of, there's funniness to it, and then there are cute moments like I guess it'll be a spoiler, but at the end of the episode, they're all kind of gathered together, all of these parents and their kids, and one of them is on the phone with their kid, I believe, and he's not home, and she's like, Daddy, I miss you or whatever, and so he starts singing Moana. And he starts singing that on the phone to her, and then Brad Garrett joins in and also starts singing, and it's really well done because Taran Killam and Brad Garrett can actually sing pretty well, it turns out, and they were singing a part of it, and the episode sort of just ends on that, which I thought was kind of cute, and it did a good job throughout having all right comedy in it for a network TV show. I was pleasantly surprised. I think it'll probably do all right if they can keep up the amount of good quality that they are putting into it from that first episode. But then again, maybe I'm not the demographic, and maybe it'll flop quite badly. Who knows with all of this stuff? I liked it. I thought it was pretty good, actually.
Cool.
So there's one thing out of this whole mess that I liked. It was better than I thought it would be. Maybe it's just because I had no expectations. I don't know. It did pretty well, though. It hit what it needed to. I also watched A Million Little Things from start to finish.
Okay. A Million Little Things.
Yes, A Million Little Things.
Is this as sad as I think it was going to be?
Yes, probably sadder than you think it's going to be.
Okay, great.
They say friendship isn't one big thing, it's a million little things. That's true for a group of friends from Boston who bonded under unexpected circumstances. Some have achieved success, others struggling in their careers and relationships, but all of them feel stuck in life. After one of them dies unexpectedly, it's the wake-up call that the others need to start living. Essentially, this is a show that starts out with a bang, and the first scene is a guy on the phone, or one of the first scenes is a guy on the phone in a high-rise, like sort of an office building in Boston, and he's out on the balcony and he's on the phone, and then the camera sort of pans away, and then it goes back to him and he's no longer there, and it is assumed, and then you find out he threw himself off the balcony and killed himself.
Jesus.
It's a lot to take in within the first 5 minutes of the show. I will say that up front. It was Ron Livingston, I believe, who was that character that threw himself off the building as the main guy, who is essentially the glue to this friendship between himself, James Roday, and Romany Malco, and another guy as well. They go to, in the show, they go to Boston Bruins games, which is an NHL team for those who are uninitiated. And they have this really good friendship with one another. I'm just spoiling this, so I apologize to everybody, but Romany Malco was also, as this was happening, he had pills in his mouth, and he was going to commit suicide as well, until James Roday called him to tell him one of his other friends had committed suicide, which then made him spit out the pills to answer the call. There's a lot of stuff happening in this first episode.
Wow, that's intense.
That really, they set the table very well with it, but it does also, I hate to say this, feel like it's just trying to cash in on the This Is Us sort of stuff.
Sure, no doubt. It definitely is a reaction to that.
Yeah, but I love James Roday in this thing, man. Like, he was great in Psych. I really liked Psych. I might be the only person that did. And he's very funny. He plays one of the friends. He has breast cancer, and it's one of those weird things where he's in a meeting with females that have breast cancer. It's just, I like it, but I also can't feel. I feel that it's nothing more than just sort of a ripoff of like This Is Us and like the success that thing had. And I'm trying to like it, but I sort of see through what they're doing here.
Sure.
And it makes me
You can definitely tell it's a made product and not like a naturally artistic thing, right?
Yeah.
Like they went out and looked for somebody to write a thing about, hey, make a show, sad show. Make an emotional show. We need one of those. Which is fine, but at the same time, you see it. which can be
You
a little
do.
disconcerting, I think.
You do. You see it, but for what it was, I liked it. It's a drama. It was heavy on the drama, that's for sure. It was an hour-long roller coaster ride. I liked it more than I thought I would, but again, I just can't help but see the similarities between this and other sort of drama shows that have definitely had more success than this one, and it just feels like ABC looked around at the landscape and said, like, well, we need one of those, so let's make one of those. And if it works for them, good. Like, I hope it does.
Yeah,
And,
more power to them.
And I liked it, and I think it's got good potential to be one of the best shows on ABC if they keep up with that thing.
I like the one guy. He was in Grimm. I'm excited. So I'm excited to see it.
The Fix, I don't know a lot about. It's a
Yeah,
drama.
nor do I.
Uh,
It's probably gonna get a season, maybe 2.
yeah,
It's
probably.
fine.
Just to put a bow on A Million Little Things, I think that thing probably goes for a couple seasons if they keep up with what they're doing.
Yep.
So The Fix is a drama, attorney and author Marsha Clark.
Yeah,
Whatever.
It's fine. It's like a law. It's an attorney who investigates thing, but then retires afterwards after suffering a devastating defeat, and then comes back. I mean, it
Whatever.
seems pretty boilerplate. I would not imagine this getting many seasons. There's some decent talent on the staff, but I really just don't have the care for it. So, the Grand Hotel, though, Eva Longoria is executive producing this one, which is set at the last family-owned hotel in Miami Beach.
Yeah.
Charismatic
Santiago Mendoza.
Santiago Mendoza owns the hotel while his glamorous second wife, why did I spell his name so difficult? Gigi,
yeah.
and their adult children enjoy the spoils of success. The hotel's loyal staff round out a contemporary fresh take on an upscale upstairs-downstairs story. And that's really enough for me. I respect Eva Longoria, but I'll admit I watched a lot of Downton Abbey, and I kind of like that upstairs-downstairs story stuff. So for me, I think this show is interesting. I'll certainly give it a watch.
I wonder if sometimes I wonder if the Hollywood people get in the weeds on this stuff. Like Eva Longoria is very successful, got a lot of money. I wonder if she gets into the weeds on this stuff where she's basically creating a show about wealthy people, and I wonder how relatable that is to people who are not wealthy.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe it'll be good. I'm always there for like entertaining drama and stuff, but it just feels like at some point when you're flaunting how successful you are in writing essentially a show around the success that you've had, in not really relating to middle America, how far does that get you? That's all I'll ask. Maybe it'll be good.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want a Budapest hotel. I've always enjoyed the idea of a TV show based around a hotel. If they do it well, I think it could be good, and I like that idea for a TV show. So maybe that's more me than the show. We'll move on to the next drama, The Rookie. This is the one with everybody's favorite dude, Nathan Fillion. Starting over isn't easy, especially for a small-town guy, John Nolan, who after a life-altering incident is pursuing his dream of being an LAPD officer. As the force's oldest rookie, he's met with skepticism from some higher-ups who see him as just a walking midlife crisis. This show should be okay. I like Nathan Fillion a lot. I thought he was great in Castle. The only problem I have is I don't really see him as that old, but at the same time, I think it could be good. I think it could be an enjoyable TV show. I don't know. It looks fine to me. I think it'll get a few seasons. Probably like 4, maybe 5. Sort of like another Castle thing. I think it's an interesting spin on some of the procedural elements, but at the same time, I could see it also getting one season getting canceled. So
People really like Nathan Fillion, so I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe just on his merits alone, the name maybe gets him 2 or 3 seasons. I don't particularly care for any of this. I think it sounds silly and just again boilerplate for an ABC.
I mean, I'm not gonna watch it. I'll be honest.
The Rookie. Starting over isn't easy, especially for come on, man. It doesn't. Whatever. This isn't. Again, I have to remember the demographic maybe isn't mine. So it's just I read some of this stuff and I'm just like, really? We're doing another officer show. Whatever. The last one we got here to wrap everything up, we've got something called Whiskey Cavalier, which I actually forgot. I don't know what this is even about, so hold on, folks. I'm going to read this. Whiskey Cavalier is a high-octane, hour-long action dramedy, hate that word, just call it a drama comedy, that follows the adventures of tough but tender FBI super agent Will Chase, codename Whiskey Cavalier, played by Scott Foley. Following an emotional breakup, Chase is assigned to work with badass CIA operative Francesca Frankie Trowbridge. Sorry, I don't want to screw your name up. Played by Lauren
Oh my God.
Cohen. I almost said Conrad. What? Lauren Cohen.
Conrad.
The wrong person. Together, they lead an interagency team of flawed, funny, and heroic spies. There's a lot of just writing in this that makes me question, like, they're flawed, funny, and heroic. Like, okay, I get that you're trying to prop it up.
it either ends up being one of two things. Either it ends up being great and it ends up sort of like Ocean's 11 or something like that, where you have a bunch of super great character actors who are just playing these really weird, obscure characters, and it all sort of plays in this kind of James Bond thing, or ends up being super cringy and lame. I don't know which one it ends up being. I'm going to watch this one just because it sounds interesting enough. I'll give it a few episodes. I'm hoping it can nail it, because I think that idea of having this kind of weird James Bondy, Ocean 11, like very character-driven story about FBI, CIA stuff is sort of interesting, but I don't know. It could end up being very cringy and end up only with one season, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for me personally. I don't know. The drama stuff is either hit or miss for me. Before we get out of here and wrap this whole thing up, I want to say this HollywoodReporter.com thing that I mentioned earlier in regard to Murphy Brown and Magnum PI. I just wanted to mention some of the good and the bad from the stuff that has already happened. So right now we've got the NBC dramas are doing very well. Manifest delivered the best 18 to 49 rating, which is a show that you said
that's great.
You were into. And it had a 2.2 on Monday, so it built on the lead that it had, and it did very well for them. Fox's Monday lineup, which is The Resident, that premiered very well. 911, which that show is not even ringing a bell as to what that is. Apparently did well on Fox too, so good for them. One of the least surprising things is This Is Us. Always, it seems like a juggernaut right now.
Always a monster show, really.
It was down a full point from the season 2 premiere. But the NBC show, it was still the top rated ever, aside from the post-Super Bowl installment that it had. So it's still doing fine.
I would also like to mention, we did miss one network here that we did not talk about.
Oh.
It's the CW.
Yeah, we did. I didn't put the CW on this thing.
The only reason I mention it, none of the other shows are really interesting besides for the one, which is, hey, Charmed is coming back to the CW.
Right,
Charmed.
Yeah, I forgot. I like Charmed. Charmed was on before I went to school for like 3 years, and I watched like the first 30 minutes of that show every morning, and it was fine. I liked it. I like Charmed a lot. I hope it's good, but I doubt it will be.
I'm hoping it's good. I have no idea. I'm willing to watch Charmed. I'm totally in for a season of Charmed. Sure, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go for it.
That's all I have to say. Sure.
So the other good things here, and I'll go through this stuff quickly. The Chicago shows, the all Chicago stuff on NBC did pretty well, averaging 1.2 rating among the 18 to 49 crowd. FBI did pretty well, apparently, according to what I'm reading here. It matched.
I would never guess that a Dick Wolf show did well. Yeah. That's unbelievable. I can't understand that.
I know, right? It matched Bull's 2017 premiere at a 1.3 with adults 18 to 49, and in Survivor, which is still on the air.
Oh, great.
Did very well.
How in the hell is that even still on?
I don't know.
It's still fucking doing well, too. I just don't understand.
Start of its 37th cycle in its 20th year on the air. Whew! That's a lot. Some other quick hits here, I would say, aside from Murphy Brown and Magnum PI. ABC's Wednesday did not do well. The Goldbergs, American Housewife, Modern Family all posted their lowest season premiere ratings to date, which is definitely not good. The Single Parent show that I told you about did fine within the context of that at a 1.3, but that is also in the context of lowest rated premieres to date, so not great. Fox's Tuesday, which was the network wants to note that Lethal Weapon's premiere was the most watched fall Tuesday 9 p.m. telecast on Fox since 2015. However, That's comparing to the drama Scream Queens and The Mick, both no longer on the air, niche shows that were canceled for being niche shows. So in comparison to those two shows, yeah, it's probably going to do better. And then to wrap everything up here, the networks all around are declining. The ABC is down by 27.5% to this year. NBC is down 16%. CBS is down 12.5%. Fox is up because of Thursday Night Football, and that's about it. So network TV is having a hell of a time right now. Hopefully some of these shows turn out to be good, but it's just we're in a weird state right now with network TV.
Yes, we are. You know, it's one of those things with network TV where you've ended up in a situation where so much of it is his game shows and stuff, and it's I think it's starting to have an impact.
Talent shows.
I think it's starting to spiral
NBC.
a little bit.
Fuck, man. Just Ninja Warrior every night.
Singing shows, Ninja Warrior.
It's just
when the only highlight of the year is like football and like one or two new shows, like no doubt you're gonna watch things happen. All right. With that said, I'm gonna say thank you for joining us for Seen Anything
Good lately.